So this is my final project. For this project, I played The Sims 4 in order to look at self-concept and understand social psychology as a whole. So the title is Self-Concept Through The Sims by Joy Claiborne. To start off, I'm going to show you guys my sim. This is her. I named her after myself because I didn't think to give her a cool name like some people did. And I wish I did, but that's fine because my sim reflects myself and all of her character traits reflect my own. So to explain her style, she has long hair because the afros in Sims 4 didn't match mine. They were either too small or just didn't look good enough for me to want to represent her that way. So I gave her a long hairstyle to reflect one of my wigs for when my hair doesn't look so good. She's wearing a crop top because I love, love, love crop tops. And she has flare pants because I hate wearing crop tops with shorts because I feel naked. So whenever I find flare pants that are long enough for my legs, I plan to get a pair to have this sort of outfit because I already have the top. And moving on down, she just has sandals because you can't go wrong with a regular old pair of sandals. Moving on. So, on the surface, getting to know Joy. Here we're going to look at my sim / my own personality, goals, and interests. So looking at her as a sim, her traits were to be a goofball, romantic, family-oriented, and a foodie. I think I'm pretty funny, and so do my friends, so goofball was applicable. Hopeless romantic isn't a trait for Sims 4, so romantic was close enough. I love family, everything family related, kids, family, having my family that I have back home, everything's great. And foodie, I love, love, love to eat, and I like looking at Pinterest to get new ideas. So her interests were watching the cooking channel because you can't get Pinterest on The Sims, cooking because that's pretty fun, and spending time with her significant other, which is now her husband. Her overall goals, well, her lifetime wish was the big happy family wish. So she wanted to get married, which she did, have at least 2 children, and eventually become a grandparent. So far, she's married, and she has a child on the way. We'll see if it's twins or not whenever it comes out. But yep, she's on track to reach her goals, so that was exciting to see. Moving on. What is self-concept and where does it come from? Self-concept to me is like how you think of yourself, like who you know yourself to be. And I feel like it comes from introspection as well as social feedback. So I feel like the social world really shapes who we are because depending on your character traits, you react differently to the type of social feedback that you get. So people could tell me that I'm trash all the time and that I wouldn't amount to anything. But because of my personality, I know that that's not true. So when I think into myself and try to figure out who I am, I wouldn't think that I'm trash and that I won't amount to anything. So I think social feedback's really important for getting to know yourself and understanding your self-concept because I understand myself to be ambitious and outgoing, but also shy and just well-rounded, where other people who've had negative social feedback given to them would think that they're standoffish or that they're lazy or that they're not talented and things like that. So although it comes from looking at yourself and understanding yourself on your own, you have to understand yourself through the social feedback that was given to you because it ultimately does shape you as a person. Next question. In what ways does a need for self-esteem motivate our actions? Here's the answer. Honestly, I believe that you can't make progress. Well, you can't make good progress without a positive self-esteem because where would your motivation come without it? Looking at it, let's take the example of weight loss. Okay, you could have a low self-esteem and know that you want to lose weight, and you could really try, but your low self-esteem would stop you from getting far because you don't feel confident in yourself enough to keep going. You're not really motivated in and of yourself. So if you have a positive self-esteem and you know your goals, you can really put your mind to it. And even if there are setbacks, like you don't see major weight loss, you know that something's happening, then you'd keep going. So that's why I think that self-esteem is important to motivate our own actions, because you really can't do it without having a positive outlook. Well, you can, but it would be way harder, and you might stop eventually. I thought this little quote was cute. It really applied to this. It already came with the Prezi, and it says, "You cannot have a positive life and a negative mind." So I think that went along with it, because if you have low self-esteem or a negative self-esteem, you really can't do too many positive things in and of yourself. It would take a lot more to motivate you than just yourself. So if you have a positive mindset, you can live a positive life. If you believe that you can do it, you can do it. Anything that you set your mind to, you can do, as long as you believe in yourself and have those resources. So I like this quote by Joyce Meyer. Next question. How do we represent ourselves to others? Initially, I believe that people just represent their most likable and desirable selves. Oh, I spelled desirable wrong. But I believe that that's how we represented ourselves. But honestly, you reflect yourself on how you feel, because if you're having a really crappy day, you can't always be as bubbly as you are on a great day. So looking at it deeper than that, if you have a negative self-concept, you really can't present yourself in a positive light all the time. So you may represent yourself as a negative person because that's just how you feel, and that's okay. Like, that's completely fine. But it just, to me, you represent yourself depending on how you feel. So I put happy faces because I want everyone to be happy, I want everyone to do great. So yeah. And that is the end of my presentation. And I couldn't figure out how to add another bubble, really. So to go over my gameplay experience, I really enjoyed it. I had to read into myself a lot. I didn't always feel like I learned something about myself from the game, and that's probably because I played as myself instead of an invented character outside of myself. But I got to reflect, like, it's different to know yourself than to hear yourself talk about how you know you are, if that makes sense. Like, my sim wanted to have all the friends, and then that didn't work out, and that's kind of how my life goes. It's like, this is what I want, this is how it really happens, and then you make your new normal with what you get. She also had like 2 love interests, and then one wasn't good enough, so she dumped him and went on to find her husband, and that's kind of how my life is going, I guess. Yeah, I had to read into myself a lot for this project. It was really funny. I was just kind of sick of telling myself how I really am out loud, because I know how I am, but I liked it a lot. I love playing The Sims. I thought it was a good way to analyze myself and to look at how I play the game. I realized that a lot of my Sims lives go the same way. Like, they start off, even if I want them to be a single independent Sim, eventually I get bored with that and try to have my Sim find like a spouse, and then on to children, and then still continue everything that they were doing on their own, but in the family context. So I realized that family is more important to me than I know it is. Like, I know it's important. I love my family and I want my own, but it's like thinking about that, how I always go through the same steps, even when I don't want to. Like, my sim could go from teenage age to full adult, and I'm like, geez, this is boring. Like, she needs a partner. She needs to do X, Y, and Z. And it's just the same stuff all over again. So yeah, I enjoyed it. Really got to look into myself. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed my presentation. It was really hard trying to get an audio on here, so I'm glad it worked out, and hopefully I'll submit this as a YouTube video. I'm not really sure how it works because I'm screen recording, but I will figure it out. Thanks for listening to me